Hey, what's up everyone, my name is RJ and just wanted to do a quick little video on how to make new wicks for the eGo-C atomizer. Got a few little tools here, a little screwdriver, then I got this cinch extension for headphones, a piece of cotton obviously. You can see it here, it's pretty nice, makes it easy to just put the atomizer cap on there, sits really nice on there, makes it easy to put it back on the coil pad, which you see here. I've cleaned this one out using some alcohol and some dry burning. Then we got some nail clippers, make sure they're sharp, and some scissors. Not actually going to use this one, I'm going to use the big ones in the back, as you will see in a minute. Here we go, once again our piece of cotton. It's very little cotton. Here we go with the scissors, and one more thing we're going to use is a little piece of paper cut to shape here. And here we go. Now the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to pull apart the cotton a little bit, because when you pull it from the bag it's going to be bunched up quite a bit and compressed quite hard, and since you really need very little cotton for the eGo-C atomizers, it's barely any cotton at all, so I'm going to just pull apart the cotton here to where it's really airy, to the point where you can really see through the cotton. It's about a 1 millimeter width sheet of cotton we're going to produce here. Just carefully pull it apart. Make sure to not produce any big holes in there. I'm just going to take a piece of paper and press down on our little cotton sheet here to make it really, to flatten it out. And here we go. Let me give you a little close-up view of this and focus my camera properly. And here you can see it's very little cotton, very little cotton. You can still see my fingers through the cotton if you look closely. This is how little cotton we're actually going to be using. Really can't stress this enough. Barely need any cotton at all for the eGo-C. And now I'm just going to cut along one of the edges of our cotton sheet here to produce a clean edge we can work with. And put away the waste here, and now I'm gonna cut off little slabs of cotton here, and they're about 1 or 2 millimeters in width actually. There we go, that's number 1. We're gonna actually produce 3 slabs here, and this is actually gonna be enough to make like 6 or 7, maybe even 8 wicks. You're gonna see this in a second. Alright, and there is our 3 pieces of cotton here, nice and clean. And now let me show you this in a close-up here. As I said, it's 1 to 2 millimeters in width. Nice little piece of cotton. Okay, now the next step, if you've rolled analog cigarettes before, which you've hopefully stopped doing by now, since you're vaping, you know this step all too well. Just gonna roll this piece of cotton up into a cylindric shape here, and make sure that you don't press down on the bottom edge here. Just leave a little bit of space, and then just roll it into a cylindric shape. The goal here is to not compress it too much. You really don't want to compress the cotton any more than it already is. Just rolling it up into a cylinder here. I'm not satisfied, keep going. Doing this just makes it easier to insert the cotton back into the cap. And here we go. There's our little wick. And now I'm just gonna cut off the beginning and end parts of the wick to give myself clean edges once again. Alright, here we go. Now I'm just gonna press down and roll one end of it, which makes it even easier to put it back into the atomizer cap. And here we go. Now I'm just going to take the atomizer cap and push this part through, and then I'm going to pull the cotton through the cone here. And when you're doing this, just be a little bit careful. Don't pull too hard, because this is actually such a little amount of cotton that it's really easy to just rip it apart. So be a little bit careful. Slowly pull it through. And you want to pull it through to a point where the end of it sits about 1 to 2 millimeters above the bottom edge of your atomizer cap. Let me just show you this here. Should be about 1 to 2 millimeters. It doesn't matter that much as long as it's somewhere in that ballpark. Here you can see, and alright, just gonna put it through a little bit more. Just don't leave too much, as once again 1 to 2 millimeters should be okay. Okay, here you can see it. And now next step, we're gonna just cut off the excess of the wick using our nail clippers. And now at this part you really want to be a little bit careful. You want to keep your hands steady and press down firmly on your nail clippers, and they should be sharp, because when you wiggle around too much doing this, you're gonna end up pulling the wick through the cone, which you really don't want to do, because then you're gonna have to do it all over again. So we're gonna cut this part off here, and there we go. That's basically our finished wick. Just cut it flush to the atomizer spike here. Now I'm gonna put it back in my little headphone jack thing here. And the next step, we're just gonna put a little bit of liquid on there to prime the wick. It's really important to prime the wick properly, because if you don't do this, then you really end up just burning the cotton to the coil right away, which number one is gonna give you a really horrible taste. Number two, it's instantly gonna mess up your wick to the point where it doesn't really produce any vapor at all, and the taste is gonna be really bad from the get-go. So prime it properly, make sure it's nice and filled with liquid. And now we're just gonna push the atomizer back on. Now, the way you align it is really not that important. It doesn't really make that much of a difference in airflow. Just either go 90 degrees or align it with the coil. It doesn't matter that much. And here you can see when you push the cap back on, the bottom part of the wick is going to touch the coil, and it's going to push the top part back through the cone. So we're going to clip that part off as well. Another little piece of excess. And once again, be very careful when you're using your clippers here. Just keep your hands steady and firmly press down. And just gonna take my screwdriver here and make sure that the cotton sits nicely in the cone. And then I'm gonna take my liquid once again and prime the top part of the wick. And we're done. Alright, just gonna take my eRoll here, take it apart, and then take our freshly wicked body here and put it back on the eRoll and start vaping. Now when you take your first few puffs on your re-wicked atomizer, you're gonna notice the vapor production isn't really there. Don't worry about it though, because it really takes like 6 or 7 drags minimum to really get the wick going. It's probably because the coil is still pretty cold, and the wick really needs to align itself with the coil and such, and so the first few puffs are not going to be all that hot, so just keep going and you're going to see that the vapor production really gets going. Cotton is really nice a wick for the eRoll, because the flavor is really good, and vapor production is awesome, and it's really cheap too. So I really like cheap, I like free, and I like easy, so this is the way I'm doing it, and I hope you liked it. And if you do, then feel free to share the video, and keep it going, guys. Vape on and have a good day. Goodbye.